Hey guys, welcome to my new YouTube channel, Automation Patsala. So after a lot of recommendation, I'm starting a new YouTube channel where we will be going through all the automations challenges that you guys are facing, like all the automation related interview questions. What are the interview questions that they are asking nowadays in most of the companies? Especially, we'll focus more on the product based companies, how they are asking the questions, how they are deep diving into the automation code and all. Okay, so there are a couple of questions that throughout this automation series I'll be discussing, like how you'll represent yourself, right, in the interview, because most of the candidates, even though they know the answer, but they could not able to represent themselves. So mostly I'll be focusing on those areas. So I keep on getting the questions like, sir, can you please explain about Agile, because Agile keep on asking a lot of questions in a lot of interviews. Okay, so guys, let's focus on how you can speak whenever somebody is asking about, you know, what is Agile, how your day-to-day activities are going on in your company as a QA, automation engineer, or maybe a QA engineer, or SZ profile, right? So to go ahead with this question, the answer would be like this. Agile is a step-by-step process to deliver an application in a very faster way, right? So we'll be having a different types of meetings, different types of sprint planning meetings, daily stand-up meetings, project kickoff meetings, retrospect meetings, and all. So how will you start this, right? So that is the main most common things that everybody they have to face it. So you have to start in this way. In our company Agile, we use because we need to deliver an application in a very faster way. So a step by step process we are following, that is starting from sprint backlogs to product backlogs. And product backlogs, well, initially all the our applications which has been gathered by the BA will be storing in a backlog, which we used to call it as a product backlogs, right? So from product backlogs, based on the requirement, let's say sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3. So what do you mean by sprint? Sprint is a the time duration, like certain time duration to complete a particular story, right? So or to complete a particular requirement, the time duration which you are taking, we are calling it as a sprint. So in generally, to deliver an application, we will be having a specific week. Let's say few applications, they will be having a strict delivery time. Let's say 1 month. Few application, few companies, they are releasing the application within 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So based on that, for each week they are planning one sprint, or let's say 2 weeks they are planning one sprint. So let's say in sprint 1, out of all the product backlogs, let's say you have 100 requirements, and out of that, if you are picking some 30 or 20 requirements, or okay, so for the 20 requirements you are putting and storing in a backlogs. That backlog we are calling it as a sprint backlogs, right? So those 30, 30, 30, 30. So gradually for each and every sprint we will be taking a set of requirements and we are storing in a sprint backlogs. So I hope you got the idea about what is sprint backlog, what is product backlog, right? And coming to the meeting, so initially what happens, there will be one guy who we used to call it a scrum master. So he's the guy who's having all the technically ideas, right? He'll be having all the ideas, like what the teammates are doing, what the dev team is doing, what QA is doing, what the design team is doing, what business analyst is doing. So he's the one who is having all the inner and outer idea of the projects. So that's why we used to call him a scrum master. So he gradually, like he almost leads a particular team. So initially when the project starts, we used to call it as a project kickoff meeting. So as the name states, like kickoff means project startup meeting. So we will be discussing like what are the tools and technologies that we'll be using throughout this project, which tool, whether it is feasible or not, whether we'll go for automation or not. If you go for automation, what are kind of tools that we'll be using. From the front end side, what are the areas of like tools and technologies that we'll be using, whether we'll go for Angular, we'll go for React for front end, what kind of tools, whether we'll go for Java or JavaScript, or different languages like say Python or any other, and for the backend what we'll be preferring, whether we'll go for Node.js, whether we'll go for Java, or whether we'll go for Golang and all. So those things initially we'll be discussing in the project kickoff meeting or project startup meeting. Now coming to the next meeting that we'll be having is a daily stand-up meeting. The daily stand-up meeting, I guess each and every company nowadays they are following this agile methodology, right? So daily stand-up, so as the name itself has the answer. So every day, if you're telling, you're giving your updates, right? So what are the things that you have done yesterday? What is the task that you are doing today? Or is there any dependency or blocker is there or not? So everything has been resolved in the daily stand-up meeting. So after this, so that everybody has a idea about what others are doing, right? So as a team, what you are achieving, as a team, what you are doing. So your scrum master will have a clear idea that what each and every team members are doing in your throughout your projects. So that is the significance of doing the daily stand-up meeting, right? Now the final meeting that we'll be having is project retrospect meeting, or we can say some people are calling it as a project postmortem meeting. So what does that mean? That means once your project has been released to the production, right? Once your project has been delivered to the client, delivered to your customer, after that, if what are the things that has been it could have been more improved way, or what are the minor defects that you have missed out and you're trying to improve your application and try to give a more stable product to the customer, to the client. So those things will be discussing in the project retrospect meeting. So any minor issues, what all these things will be writing in a release notes, so that we'll be covering everything in the next sprint or the next release which will be delivering to the customer. Those things we'll mostly discussing in the project retrospect meeting. So this is all about the complete meetings what we are following in Agile, right? So this is most of the companies that are following. And apart from that, what is the advantage, right? Previously most of the people are using waterfall models, V and V model approach, but when this Agile came, what is the beneficial? The beneficial is, I can say, I is stands for the frequent interaction with the customers. You are every day you are giving a demo, every week I can say you mostly you are dealing with the customer, you are dealing with your stockholders, like what are the improvements. You are showing some demo, if anything is breaking or if anything is new requirement changes are there, you can be mostly dealing with your customers. So that is one advantage. Next, what frequently less communication gap between your team members. As I mentioned, like in your daily stand-up, you're telling everything, right, in your daily stand-up meeting. So that's why what happens, there is a lack of communication gap between the team members, and you're like all the team members are doing what you are doing or what the other team members are involving, right? Let's say you have any doubt, let's say QA team is wants to approach for a dev team. So as the team is nearly by sitting, so you can quickly go and check what is the issue. You can sit and find the RCA for that. So those things are the most advantage. And I can say requirement changes are mostly allowed, because that is the one more important. Because if let's say previously what was happening, you are not having in waterfall model, you are not having frequently interacting with the customers, right? After delivering the product to the client, then if client is asking for any requirement changes, then that's a gone case for us, yes or no? But in this case, as we are showing the demo in every 1 week or 2 week, we'll have a clear idea like whether we are designing the product right or not, right? Because that is what the verification and validation is all about, right? In verification you are checking whether you are building the product right or not, and in validation you are checking the product which you build, that is right or not. So those things mostly involving in Agile. So I hope guys you can now able to explain happily what is Agile. If somebody is asking you, please kill it in the interview. Okay, so please comment me in the post if you need some more topics. I have couple of series, I have couple of questions I have prepared. The same way I'll be explaining, I'll explain some with some demo also. There is some few view videos are still there. So please do comment, like and subscribe, and please comment me in the post that if you need some more interview related answers, and please write down your questions. I'll be happy to explain that as well. Thank you guys, have a good day. Thanks.